Welcome to another edition of Monday Night Raw, post-game edition. Oilers drop a decision to the Florida Panthers in heartbreaking fashion and end up losing the Oilers' debut for Calvin Pickard, who played a reasonable game, I thought. We're joined tonight by my co-host, Bob the goalie, and Oilerslive, Mr. Hebert joins the fray. Good evening to you both. What do you think about that one, fellas? Go ahead, Bob, and then we'll let Michael give us his spiel.
I thought I made it clear I didn't want to talk about this, Durza. I thought we were going to talk about the weather, something positive. That's rough. So here we go again. We start off red hot. We come out of the gate hard. And it's kind of ironic because hasn't this been kind of an issue for us the last couple of seasons where we are slow starting and strong finishing? Now we've been strong starting and just can't sustain it at all. Are we really at this point now where we rely on our first 20 minutes to score 5 goals for us to have a chance of winning the game? That's the frustrating part, because that's like we come out of the gate and we look dominant. We kind of look like, okay, we're back. And then all of a sudden, okay, now it's tied. Oh, now we're behind. Like, ugh.
Where do you go with that?
Where do you go with that?
Yeah. No, this team's look. This team's won, or not won, but scored first 10 games now, right? And is it 11 or 10? 10 or 11, and
won 4.
Yeah, they've won 4. I mean, there's got to be that third period mentality where I thought they looked good, right? Like they dominated the third period. But don't wait till you're a goal down. Do it when you're 2 goals up. Dominate the second. Dominate the third. Like this is, a few years back we used to talk about this. Like the team, and I don't know who it was. I just saw the quote on Twitter after, but they said the Oilers didn't play 60 minutes, right? And that we've had this problem in the past, and they're not. Yeah, I mean, I'll go through my list, Dursa, if you want, but where we can just as we go. But I mean, this was a frustrating game to watch. It was second game in a row where we were up by 2. It looks great, right? You're getting a couple saves, looks good. A buddy of mine texts me, he says, "Hey, Oilers got a good start." And I'll be honest, I wasn't a believer. I texted him back and said, "Yeah, I've seen this story before." Sure enough, it's but that's how the room must be feeling too, right? Like they must have the same sort of feeling. And then Durst and I talked before we got on the show, that goal where Bouchard trips over the stick, and then the Broberg trips over the stick. I mean, that's, and then the goal where it hits Hyman to stay in the zone. Those things happen when you're having this kind of play. There's a lot of there are people to point the finger at, but let's be honest, this team needs to play a whole 60 minutes like they did in the third period, right? When it's not on the line.
Yeah, and I don't know, the first goal, I mean, a penalty kill has been a problem all season. First goal, I mean, 3 guys are fishing for a puck on the wall in the middle, in the middle of the ice in our end. Nurse is left with 2 Panthers guys. Who does he cover? Well, chooses to cover not really anybody, but tries to kind of get in the way of the shot and not screen Pickard at the same time. And I think he actually did a pretty good job of that, but Pickard's left to his own demise there and gets beat. It's just, if I got to point fingers at somebody right now, more than anybody, I mean, you can look to Bouchard's defensive play, but right now it's Ryan McLeod for me is the guy that needs to find his hockey game. And I don't think we can keep rolling back to the guy missed training camp as his go-to excuse to let him off the hook. He needs to play better.
Well, on that PK there was, like McLeod got a little aggressive along the boards. You don't need 3 guys there trying to fight for the puck. But Nurse didn't have the time to make a decision of who to cover. That happened so fast that he was stuck in no man's land. He's like, oh, well, I hope it hits me. Like, that put him in a tough spot. That's probably his best Nurse can do in that situation.
Take a couple of comments from YouTube there, and you guys can give your reactions to this one. Me and Michael saw this before we even were live. It came through. So without Barkov, the Panthers win by 2. Without Leon, Oilers lose by 5.
So here's a good time to, like, I'll go through my list because these are things. McDavid looks great tonight, right?
Yeah.
Like first game back, like this looked like classic McDavid. You know, there's still some instances where he's making some passes where I just don't feel like he would have made those passes a year ago. And I don't know if that's just the team not clicking or what. But outside of that, I mean, he looked awesome tonight. Draisaitl, snake bit. Like, the guy's not shooting the puck. I was telling Dursa off air. I mean, on the one power play, him and Bouchard are playing pass. Those guys are shooters, right? Like, so, you know, he just, come on, why don't you decide to take the puck to the net? McDavid finally does, and he scores from Draisaitl's office, right? Like, that's how it's got to be done. And, you know, you mentioned Bouchard. Honestly, I'd be all right if he sat for a game. Like, I love Bouchard. I love a lot of the things he brings to this team. But at this point, when he makes a mistake, it costs the team a goal, or it costs them an opportunity. Like, his mistakes just come at the most inopportune times. And if he sits one game, maybe elevate Kulak. Like, Kulak's looked great.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, who knows how much that changes if you give Kulak more minutes. But I'd elevate Kulak, throw Nurse on the power play for a game if that's what. And hey, doing something different on the power play, well, you know, it's not going to be any worse than it is right now. So sit Bouchard for a game, give him a chance to watch from the press box, like, learn the system, right? Learn the system. And then, you know, I mean, his numbers, you know, a few games ago, I was talking about this in the group chat, looked great. But honestly, when he makes a mistake, it just doesn't end up well for the Oilers. And then I'd say the most important thing is the Oilers need to burn lots of incense in the dressing room, because the hockey gods are not on our side right now. But that's going to take some serious like work and effort. And I loved the game tonight, like a gritty game. Like, I thought this was going to get the Oilers into it. And it kind of did in the third period, but a little too late.
Florida sort of drags you into it with that kind of chippy junior B-ish kind of style that they play. I mean, Bennett giving Hyman kind of a punch in the head, and Hyman taking a 10 there. Probably said a few choice words to the officials for not giving Bennett extra time for that. I'm pretty convinced in my own head that's probably how it went down. That one guy that was chipping away at Connor Brown there that they showed at the intermission, you know, he took about 5 penalties and didn't get called for any, all on Connor Brown. You know, it was a bit of a street fight kind of game. And I thought, you know, they did well. Desharnais takes a long fight there, and I think it's back-to-back games he's gotten into a scrap, and so Nurse and Kane might want to educate him a little bit on some of the ways of navigating through some fights, because with his size and his reach, he should have really took that smaller guy to town. Credit to both of them. They kind of hung around in there and made that kind of a heavyweight 12-round fight. Yeah, with Bouchard, I mean, in Tampa, he was instant offense and for both teams. So that's got to get out of his game tonight. I thought it was a bit of an ill-advised pinch there in a bad spot if you're looking at the scoreboard, and you know, those suck the life out of your team, and odd man rushes. I mean, in Tampa, doesn't get a puck in deep and kind of gingerly skates down the ice. Nurse is kind of not sure what he should do because he's out there with them. Is he going to get back and cover his man? So Nurse doesn't really take anybody. He's just in the middle of the ice. And I thought on that play, the pass across, Skinner probably should have made a save there, but
Pickard.
no, in Tampa, I mean,
in Tampa
game.
If
that's a tough one, though. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to see a save there, but that's a tough one. I'm with you on the. I love Desharnais' edge that he's been playing with the last couple games. I think that's something I've wanted him to embrace in a while now. When we saw the Seattle game and the way Larson plays, like sometimes I think we forget how much we actually miss Larson's presence back there with that kind of edge.
Yeah.
And Desharnais is a guy who can bring that to his game, and when he does, he's that much more effective. Because let's face it, we don't really count on him for any kind of offense, really.
No.
That's just a bonus. But the whole time here with Bouchard is like the last year or so, Woodcroft was even a big booster in Bouchard's defensive game, and everybody was always bitching how he's all offense and no defense. And Bouchard was trying to prove that wrong. But this year, it's been the exact he's fallen into that conversation where he's just all offense. Because what he does with the puck at the other team's blue line is magic, and what he does with the puck at our blue line is just tragic. Like it's one dichotomy to another. I'm very impressed, especially on the power play, how he shortens up his shot even just to wrist the puck through, like Brewer used to do, kind of thing. Just pick a spot and knife the puck through. But then on our zone, it's like he doesn't know what to do with the puck. He doesn't know where to stand defensively. Like that one goal there, was it the third one, I think it was, where he was just floating. He was nowhere. And he skated by the puck one time. If he had a stick on the ice, the puck would have hit his stick, but he didn't have it on the ice, and he skated right by it. Like I'm with you, Hebert. I think sitting him for a game, letting him watch for one, isn't a bad idea. He's not even in his prime yet, so he's still developing as well. So this might be a good opportunity, another learning lesson, right? Watch from the press box, see what you see from up there, and see how you can adapt your game to suit what we need.
That play you're talking about, he was really, really casual on it. And if I got to point to one thing Desharnais did tonight that made me shake my head and led to a bit of a fire drill too, is he was going back to retrieve a puck, and he turned back in like to the boards on the right side instead of he could have just played it to the left behind the net to a guy on that side, but he went in and then he turned and he tried to play it to the right and he turned right into the forechecker.
Michael, I got a question for you there. Do you think one of the things on your list there was Connor McDavid making some plays or some passes? Do you find, because we're struggling, do you find that maybe he's forcing some plays? He's putting a little bit, maybe too much on his shoulders to try and get this team out of the funk? Do you see him forcing certain plays that he normally doesn't do?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's it. Because he's, it could very well be it. I mean, they're not high percentage plays, right? That he's, when he's given the puck up like that. And he's been doing that once or twice a game. Now, when you play a style like, McDavid or Draisaitl, sometimes they get tagged with giving the puck away a lot, but sometimes those guys are so creative that, that's going to happen. It's just that I see some plays by McDavid where maybe it's a confidence thing, right? They talked about that in the game today. And he certainly started to show some confidence. I don't know. I mean, this is I look at Draisaitl, I'm not about to make any attack videos on him, right? No. The guy does a lot of great things out there. And when I see him playing pass with Bouchard, Draisaitl's still an amazing passer, right? He almost had Kane. He had the presence of mind to go after Kane coming out of the box,
right?
He didn't miss Kane by much. It was a good defensive play. There's only so many players in the league that see that as quick as he sees that open up, right? And it was darn close. And so I look at Draisaitl, I see how he plays. He plays with some grit. I love it. I think he's a little bit snake bit and needs to definitely shoot the puck a little bit more, but I'm not ready to give up on him. And he's still top 30 in the league in scoring and points production.
Some stranger says it only takes one goal against for everything to fall apart.
That's what it feels like, right?
Yeah, they start to really walk on eggshells. Like they're up 2, they're feeling good, and then the breakdown on the penalty kill, and then they start walking on eggshells. It's not like Ekholm to fire a bit of a grenade. And I thought that's exactly what that second goal was a bit of a grenade, and ended up into another fire drill, and then it's a 2-2 hockey game, and then McDavid gets the penalty shot, Cash is there, and it shades of fucking crashing into the net on Mike Smith in Calgary at the game I was at, where Leon got his 50th goal, and that put Connor on the shelf for a while. It felt eerily similar to that, although luckily he didn't crash into the net. He just kind of glided into the end boards. But even that collision, high speed, I would have liked to have seen him get a skate down and kind of hit the e-brake a little bit before hitting the boards, but that didn't happen either. That was scary, but luckily he got up and he cashed a penalty shot goal, and then immediately after they give it right back. It just
the one they gave back, that's that shitty one though. That's the one where Broberg got stepped on the stick and then Hyman bats it in his own net. That's one of those things where we just gained control of the game back pretty much, and then the hockey gods just say no, not yet. That's not your time yet, boys.
Yeah, and when something like that happens, like it's gotta kill you, right? Like it has to kill you as a team out there. Like it just doesn't feel like anything's gonna go right. And so I get that. I'd probably be feeling much the same way. But having said that, I mean, you're up by 2.
Yeah.
Don't let it get there, right? Like turn on.
Yeah.
This team needs to be up by 2 and play like they're down by 1.
Yeah, or down by 3. Yeah.
Well, chalk that goal up to just like that's just a bad luck goal. Let's face it. There's nothing they did there that they could change something else, but. Like you're saying, don't let it get there. So, Kane taking that stupid penalty against Tkachuk, that gets Florida back into the game on the, especially with our struggling PK, right? So that's an incident that can be avoided to help us not get to that position where a fluky goal like that's is gonna kill us.
Yeah, this Davo guy makes a couple of comments. It's time for tough love and discipline in Edmonton, and then he says enough of the ass kicking of the Stars, tired of the softness and weakness. The team acts like victims. Get a strong coach and stop the ass kicking. Kane takes those 2 penalties in the first, and I don't think he saw much more time on the ice in the first period, so he kind of got a well-deserved seat. So I think that's a sign of a coach, holding people accountable for, a little bit of foolishness, and when it comes to Bouchard, you're high risk, high reward, but him seeing a game from the press box and or running tape with the guy and say you're doing a lot of good things on the offensive end, but you're also costing us on the defensive end. So
I'm sure they've done the tape route already a few times. Right?
We need a happy medium here.
Yeah, they're probably tired of the video room at this point. Yeah, I mean, this is look. It's one of those things. This team's got to come through together. But there's a couple guys that absolutely, like everybody. It's funny because who would have thought at this point the guys scoring the goals would not be McDavid and Draisaitl, right? Like Hyman, Kane, right? Like, this is a team that's been in just about every game, and your top guys aren't performing, right? 100%. But I think Dash said it on Oilerslive the other night. Like he's saying, it's a 10 bell. Or maybe you said in the group chat, it's a 10 bell error every time we make a mistake, right? But I think that too a little bit. At the same time, it's a 10 bell mistake and it's a poor save or a non-save, and
you need some breaks.
Pickard though tonight, like there were times where the puck was bouncing and the Oilers just couldn't seem to get it on their stick. But the one thing they did well was protect the net. right? Like, except for that, I think it was the fourth goal. I think that was the game winner, right? Was the Stedman goal, was it? Where he fishes it out and then it sort of bounced around everywhere, ended up on his stick, and then the weak backhand into the net. That one.
Oh, that was the was that the Bouchard runaround?
Maybe could have been. Yeah, I mean they all pissed me off.
Well, I do think
that one was after. Sorry to stop your. That was after though Stedman like put the puck in the net, which like pisses me off. And it should piss the Oilers off.
Oh, after the whistle. Yeah, they didn't do enough. They didn't do enough there to me. Go punch the guy.
No, I don't think so either. But I think that's the kind of thing where you don't do enough maybe after the play happens, but the next shift. Like you come out pissed off and do something then.
Yeah.
Run Bobrovsky, right? Like, get in there. Do the shit back to them.
Yeah.
Like the next time the whistle's right at the whistle, like shoot the puck in the net, right? Make that late shot, like do it back. And then to have Stedman come back and score the goal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you guys have played, know how much like that just gets under your skin.
Yeah. Give Bobrovsky some high heat.
Right? Yeah.
Well, it's funny because and Stenlund knows he's going to try it out and see if there's any repercussions from that. Nothing happened. So how's that going to prevent another team doing that to the Oilers, knowing they won't get pushed back? Yeah. But it's funny you say that, Michael. Is right after that Stenlund did that, there was a delayed penalty coming up to the Oilers, and McDavid had kind of like the puck squirted loose. The Florida pulled their goalie Bobrovsky out of there. McDavid raced for it to touch the puck for the penalty. I would love to see him put in the empty net then.
That's like what I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing. Yeah. Like I want to see these guys like be Draisaitl like assholes, all of them for one game. Right? Like Draisaitl has it in him. And McDavid plays well when he's been agitated too. Right. Like, I'm not surprised he had a good game tonight. Like he's expecting to be pissed off a little bit, and he goes out there with a little bit of, an edge, and he's driving the net. He's doing all the things you like.
Yeah, he sure was. Holy shit.
This road trip's not getting any easier though.
Well, Carolina should be our next, best bet, quote unquote, because Washington's getting hot at the right time now. They're on a 3 or 4 game winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe after that, Anaheim has started to come back down to earth, so there'd be a good shot too. But at this point, like, there was a joke early on before the San Jose game where the Oilers were saying that, hey, when's San Jose in our schedule? And the Sharks were saying, hey, when are the Oilers on our schedule, right? I mean, all the teams are looking right now, like, when are we playing the Oilers next? We need some wins. And you don't want to be that team.
No.
I got a quick question though for you guys. I don't know if it's just something I noticed for this game, but do you think Coffey is saying something about our D-men being a bit more aggressive on the other team's blue line in regards to trying to keep the puck in or pressuring a breakout? Because I saw all of our defensemen, except for Kulak and Desharnais, get caught on a pinch at least once this game. It didn't always lead to a scoring chance, but it led to like a breakout or just a...
Well, they said it right when they came on, right? Is we're going to be more aggressive, right? Like keeping the puck in their zone, right? Like, defense through a strong offense.
Right.
I mean, I don't know that we've seen it yet. But yeah, I mean, you could be onto something, and maybe these are not the defense to be doing that with.
I just think there needs to be better decision making on when to hold the line and when to retreat. And I'm not seeing it.
I noticed it more this game than the other games. I've seen it. It's always been more the regular guys like Nurse or Bouchard who are making these pinches, but I saw like the whole team do it. Like Broberg got caught, CC got caught, Ekholm got caught, and of course Bouchard got caught. But the only 2 guys I didn't see were Kulak and Desharnais, and I don't expect it from Desharnais, but Kulak's probably one of our best game defensemen, and he never even gave that a shot. So just curious, just something I noticed in this game more than others.
Yeah, there's work to be done with the defense, right? But the crazy thing is you could go back to our season opening shows. Everybody's talking about how the defense was going to be better. I mean, we had Ekholm for the full season. And then, a few games in, Ekholm's playing hurt. Well, now he's not, right? Ekholm's Ekholm. In fact, I think he's been great. He's been doing well. He's playing big. He's, typically pretty reliable out there. Not a lot of plays and times where I'm getting super pissed off at him in the last, five games or so.
Yep.
I don't think the system favors Bouchard's style of play. Like Dursa, you called it casual earlier, and I think that's exactly how he plays. He plays a casual style, which I think works well for a man-to-man where you could have your D partner kind of protect you a little bit in that scenario. Whereas, if you're being relied on to play a zone and you're playing casually in a zone, well, this is exactly what happens. And I'm noticing tonight they stopped themselves on the this used to happen. It's been happening a lot. Like on an odd man rush, the defense will almost chase the puck, right? And then they forget that they're playing, where they're playing. And tonight I can't remember who it was playing on left D, and they were, it was an odd man rush, and it's like a light bulb clicked, and they made the right play. They didn't get pulled over, and they were just about to, and they came back to stop what would have been an easy push over to the right winger and in the net. And those kind of things, like, I hate to go on about it, but I just hate the fact that we've had success and then now they've changed it. It's okay. I guess I'll keep going on about it because it's like it's just that these guys haven't learned the new system yet, and some of them have. I'll give them that. In fact, I've been really positive for the most part on Nurse's game, for the most part, right? Like he was public enemy number one last year, and but if he's given a zone to play and he's he plays hard and he plays in that zone hard, I think he does well in that kind of his role. Whereas playing casually in his own defense just doesn't translate to good defense.
I think if you're playing scarecrow defense in the NHL, you're burnt. It's not a good idea.
I think Nurse has been our best defenseman over the last 6 games. I think. He had a rough start to the season, but he's starting to find it.
Yeah, I've been pretty happy. I've been happy actually with Kulak, Nurse, and Ekholm. And Desharnais got good games and bad games. He's not been all bad, right? I thought tonight he was solid, like reasonable. I thought it was good. He mixes it up a little bit. But, I thought Bouchard, I thought Broberg, we talked about this off air, is making really crap decisions in the neutral.
Yeah, isn't he? Sheesh.
Like
his first 2 shifts, he caught no man's land.
Yeah. I mean, it's those neutral zone decisions that he makes that really create havoc in our own zone, because he always ends up out of position. And then, when he starts skating with the puck, you kind of look at him and you think, oh, he can really skate with the puck. And then all of a sudden somebody with the easy strip and it's gone back the other way. So I don't know. I've not been happy with his development, and maybe they're rushing him a little bit. But obviously, I don't know why. I don't know why they put him in tonight.
We need him to be the guy that we drafted him to be, and it's not happening. So that was one of the optimism I had about our defense before the season began. Was number one, like you mentioned, we'd had Ekholm for the full season. I expected Broberg to take a step up. He would be getting more ice time, getting more chances, and then let's see what he's got. And like you mentioned, I see the same thing when I watch him play. When he makes those little rushes, he starts skating with it, like, there's that guy that we drafted. And then all of a sudden he just loses it, or somebody just picks it off him like he's not even there. And like, that's the guy that we drafted. Like, just
And maybe he needs more minutes, right? I mean, I don't know how many minutes he played tonight. I haven't looked yet. Should probably have a look. But sometimes a guy like that with that kind of skill level, he needs to, play more than 6, 7. I mean, I always think
10
about
minutes.
these guys, right? Like how many minutes did he get?
10:22. In fact,
That's actually pretty good for him.
yeah,
That's not bad.
Darnay was the least. He only played 7 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I posted Broberg's last game, which was November 2nd versus Dallas. He played five and change in that game. And it's hard to get engaged if you're playing 5 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of time on the bench. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to make excuses for Broberg, but it wouldn't hurt for him to be just to spend the full year in Bakersfield and pick up some skills there, right?
Yeah,
be solid
play 20 to 25 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Were you guys surprised we went to 11-7?
I was, yeah. Actually, I was very surprised. Especially because Knobloch's been pretty consistent with the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And he even said, like he said, I'm going to be consistent with the lines. Yeah. And then I posted that even today because that's what it looked like after practice. But then he started Draisaitl and McDavid, I guess, on a whim. And maybe it was all right, like to have them. I mean, it kickstarted McDavid. If McDavid does get kickstarted from this game, that could, he's certainly the kind of guy that can put the team on his shoulders and start to make things happen, right?
It's interesting that they did go 11-7 because when they hired Knobloch, he gave a little bit of a speech about not really liking 11-7 too. So I kind of took that as, okay, who's pulling the strings here? Who's telling you to go 11-7? Is that your idea or is that somebody else's?
No, I think Michael's right there. I think he kind of used it to try and get our top two guns to get them a little fire under their belt. Yeah. And and if that happens now because of this game, like McDavid finding his game, then you know what? Success.
Oh yeah, it'll pay dividends for sure.
But they should be pissed after tonight, right? Like they should be sufficiently pissed off, right? Like you should expect this team to come out like absolutely insanely mad against Carolina. Hitting anything that moves, driving the net, doing all the things you're supposed to do as a team. Because if this didn't spur them, then I just don't know what. Like
I'm a little worried.
I'm a little 10 games ago.
I'm a little worried that after dropping this one and the one in Tampa, where really honestly they played fairly good games. It's just they're beating themselves. That they start to get defeated and dejected and put up a snoozer against Carolina and get run out of the building. That's my fear. Well, can't afford that now.
We can't afford that. We can't have any more clunkers. That's for sure. We've run out of them already. So
yeah,
we got to be playing some pretty effective hockey here going forward.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm surprised with 11-7 is the fact that I thought actually our fourth line against Tampa was one of our better lines. I thought all three, like Ernie and Hamlin had their best games of their career probably that last game, and then Gagne was as solid as ever on that fourth line. And so I was very surprised to see them break that one up here.
Yeah, and a little bit of consistency is not going to hurt anything. I mean, this is, you've tried everything to spur them on. Like now, now try, keeping the guys together for a little bit, right? Seeing if they get some chemistry. And I think the past 5 games, the Oilers have played their best hockey, right?
Have you guys started to see like an uptick in Connor Brown the last 2 games?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I even want to talk about it. Like uptick, like we've been waiting. This is
we started
him and McLeod, right? Like are all uptick, right? But Gagne, who's played a 10th of the games, has scored more goals than both of them, right? Holloway has scored more goals than both of them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
In my mind, I don't think McLeod has an excuse. he's skating miles out there, just not really doing much.
Just getting cardio.
This is Brown's 7th game now. Yeah, like they did the whole thing about preaching how to be patient with him. Okay, yeah, we were patient with him. Sheesh. Like even today, when Hyman got that penalty, the first person to take his spot on that power play was Connor Brown. Like, geez, you are giving an opportunity to succeed. You've played with McDavid a few games. You've been the number 1 power play unit. Like you are getting this opportunity. So now start succeeding.
Yeah. I was a little curious of a move actually to give him that PP time. Like I'm thinking, what has he done during this?
Well, I would have put Kane on there, but then he got that misconduct instead, so that kind of answered that. But.
Yeah, well, that was Hyman's misconduct, right? So they put Kane in the box.
Did you have to have somebody on the ice serve that? Because I would have probably sent somebody else if you didn't.
I think he did. I think he did.
For misconduct?
Yeah.
No, I think you can grab anybody for misconduct.
Like, well, no, Hyman serves the misconduct, but I think you have to.
Oh, sorry, yeah, for the minor, yeah.
Serve the.
Okay, that's how it works.
The penalty because he was on the ice. I think. I mean, that's a.
I think you may be right.
Question, yeah.
The Chansky question. Rip the ref.
Yeah, we need the segment back. Kind of a segue, I guess, into Lotzi put out an article today about Paul Coffey is symbolic of Daryl Cates' lack of trust, part 2 by Ryan Lotzberg. So there's QR code if you want to scan that.
Ever looked,
Bob? Yeah. Yes. If you want to scan that and read Lotzi's article on Paul Coffey being next in line maybe for the GM of the Edmonton Oilers after Ken Holland contract is up at the end of the season. There you go. Also, I guess I should bring up, and I wanted to say, Heavy Hockey broke the story of Jay Woodcroft being let go. It's the only article that I failed to, purposely didn't get involved with at all. I thought it was bad juju and was nervous about it and didn't have the stomach to put it forward at all. Chicken shit Dursa here. Knowing that we were going into Seattle, we might possibly win the game, and all bets were off if that happened. You guys put the story out. I was proven to be an idiot, and Tyler Yaremchuk had to eat a lot of crow, and good for him. And so did I, basically, because I thought, if we win that hockey game and come home, then everything's changing, right? And it's a new script being written. But after some time to reflect on the whole thing, and that maybe them, firing him after that Seattle win caused more of a shakeup in that dressing room than if they would have let him go in San Jose that night. And Aaron that we had on last Monday talked about, it takes time to go through some of the details and get your coach kind of all sorted out and to Edmonton and in place. I would have put Glenn Gulletson behind the bench if you made that decision. But I now thinking about it, like I say, I think it caused more of an earthquake shattering moment in that dressing room. Letting Jay go after you actually won a game and surprised everybody. But credit to yourself and Dash for kind of breaking that, and Lotzi putting out an article that pertained to that, and getting it right.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were completely wrong on who would end up behind the bench. I mean, the Coffey part, we knew he would take a different role. But Knobloch, the only people that saw that coming were, you could argue McDavid if you want, but certainly, I think there's more to that story than we'll probably know, or rather be able to report on or see reported on. That's, about where I'll stop with that, and and just say, it was going to happen regardless of the win, and maybe some of the symptoms that occurred through that streak, are representative of why he's gone, right? Like, I talked a bit about it, the panic that set in just after one game, right? Like all of these things that, I would say if you go back and look at interviews post game one, like the body language was there early, right? Which is somewhat surprising given the excitement this team had surrounding it. So why was the body language so negative after one loss, even though it was 8-1, right? Like you'd think you would hope that the guys could be a little bit pissed off, but they'll say, look, it's just one game.
Right.
But I would argue that if you go back and look at all the interviews, it didn't feel like just one game right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Right? Like this team was off from game one, and that'll give you some insight as to why that happened.
I think that first game was a major slap in the face, though. Like, these guys show up to captain skates 2 weeks ahead of the rest of the league. They're putting in the work, and they got absolutely schooled in the first game. Like, it wasn't even close.
But you got games like that. Like, I
Sure.
mean, the game when Gagne scored 20 points, right? Like,
Yeah.
Chicago should have beat Edmonton the other way around, but Edmonton's, scoring all that. Like those games happen in a season.
Sure.
That it happened early on is one thing, but a team should have been the team should have taken that as a let's just put this behind us moment. But it was pretty evident if you go back and you look at the interviews, it's pretty evident that they never put that behind them.
Yeah, no, it was like they lost game 7. I mean, it totally demoralized them.
Yeah.
Now I've said this before, so if I know this whole thing is about trying to find blame. So if we're gonna put blame on one person for all this, I blame Rick Tocchet. That's who I blame. And there's no doubt in my mind that probably the last week of training camp, all his practices were run with the sole purpose of beating the Oilers. Rick Tocchet that's his first full year behind the bench for Vancouver. He wants to make a statement. He wants to say that this team is different. And why not make a statement against a team who at that time is one of the Stanley Cup favorites? The number one offense the last couple of years, the best power play in the history of the game. He has a chance to make this statement. So he doesn't care about the other 81 games that last week of training camp. He cares about beating the Oilers and making a statement. Boy, did he ever make a statement. And now, game 2. So now we dominate the Canucks, but we still end up losing. And so
that hurt.
Nobody looks at the domination. They look at the fact that we lost both games because of the Canucks. So that goes even more in favor of Rick Tocchet, right? So you know what? That's 2 wins against the Stanley Cup favorite sort of thing. We are here. And the Oilers are like, what the hell just happened? Right? So that was the beginning. And all that hype with the Oilers being a Stanley Cup favorite, we all bought into it. All the experts bought into it. I'm sure the Oilers bought into it, regardless of all the outside noise they claim not to hear. That's a huge kick in the nuts when you go down 8-1 to a team that didn't even make the playoffs last year.
Some strangers asking how many players on the Oilers team were Jackson's clients. I know of at least 2, but I think there's actually more than that.
Yeah, that's
but that's irrelevant, really. Like Connor Brown, how many people were on board with that signing? Everybody seemed to be in favor of that signing, and all of a sudden he's not producing. So now it's like the worst signing we've ever done.
Yeah, I'm on board with this team. Like I might be in the minority, but I'm not a Ken Holland hater, right? Like
I'm not either.
I honestly it's easy for everybody to go in now and say, oh, Ken Holland. But all the pundits, everybody, including you, me, everyone said this was a team that at the very least was going deep in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Right. So now that they're not, we're all of a sudden, well, Ken Holland messed up. Well, no, if he didn't mess up before, he didn't mess up now. And frankly, when the 2 best players in the world aren't scoring, like this is where you're at, right?
So is that the mistake Holland made then? Not trading McDavid and Draisaitl then?
And that's
I'm with you. I think Holland's made this team better since he got here. Hyman is here. Kane is here. Ekholm is here. He's tried to address areas that we were weak in, such as goaltending. That's why he went after Campbell. Yeah, that looks like a miss now. Well, is a miss now, but he did try to go after like Markstrom. The money got too much. Like he looked into the Boston duo, but the stuff we have to give up for goaltending right now is insane because the Oilers are not in a power position to trade. Everybody knows the Oilers are desperate for goaltenders. They have been for the last couple of years, pretty much. And so what teams are asking for a goalie is probably ridiculous. But all the armchair GMs are like, well, just trade for a goalie. Like, yeah, it's so easy for us to say.
Yeah, because it's that easy. Yeah. No, and that's exactly it, right? Like this is, it couldn't be. It just couldn't happen any worse than it has, right? And like, I mean, who figured Ekholm would get injured the way he did, not on the ice, weird sort of injury keeps him out for the beginning, like a couple guys injured, in training camp, right? And then just not coming out and playing the same, right? McDavid clearly starting the season not 100%, right? And I actually I thought the goalies looked half decent in preseason. Like I was excited about our goaltending. I thought this was the year they were going to turn it around. I mean, that hasn't happened. Like, let's put the blame where it's due, which is on the team, right?
It is 100%.
This team is built to this team has gone deep, 3 years in a row. Like, how many teams in the league could say that if they had won their last playoff series, there was a good shot that they were going to win the Stanley Cup? There's only a couple teams that can say that. And the Oilers, a lot of people think that if they had beat Vegas, they'd been hoisting Lord Stanley's mug, right?
This is the same core that had 4 games of over 4-game winning streaks last season. That had a 10-game stretch where they went 8-2. They finished the season 14-1. The same core is still there. So what's happening now is actually the anomaly. But it's a bad one, obviously, and it's hurting us. Something has to change. But we always complain how we're not getting scoring from the bottom 6, and now the bottom 6 is doing all the scoring.
I think it's a matter of time before they get out of it. Just hopefully.
Yeah, but they don't have much time left.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They got to start.
They have any, right? Like, I mean, this is Friday's typically the cutoff, right? Where you say if you're not in the playoffs by Friday, then that's it. And the Oilers definitely won't be in the playoffs Friday in playoff position. Thankfully, I think there's a lot of underperforming teams this year. Like it's a little bit, there's still some opportunity to come back. And look, are you going to bet against McDavid? I still wouldn't.
If it looks like Connor's starting to come out of the funk and injuries that he was suffering, obviously, and I'm pretty sure it was an abdominal strain. I think there's been something ailing Draisaitl too. I don't think it's just him being in a funk. He's too good of a shooter to miss the net on the one-timer as much as he has. So I think there's something ailing him, and hopefully he comes out of it. I think we saw the perfect storm of injuries to start this season, and hopefully we don't need to see any more from any of the core guys going forward.
You know what's weird is we're talking about Draisaitl struggling because we watch him every day. So he hasn't been the Draisaitl that we've seen the last couple of years.
Yeah,
he still has 21 points in 16 games going into this game, averaging over a point a game.
I wish I could struggle like that.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still been probably our best forward, and maybe not our most consistent forward, probably our best forward though. Still, like the moments that he's on his game, he carries us. We shit on him all we want because he gets snake bit and he doesn't score as many goals as he has last couple of years. Man, he's still doing his part. I think his defensive game is still strong. He's winning his fair share of face-off, and he's got that grit and that tenacity where he's, winning puck battles for us and getting chances. It's just not going in for him. That's the biggest red flag.
So, Mr. Hebert, what do you got coming this week for your shows? And give you a chance to promote.
Yeah, thanks. We're on again tomorrow night because there's a game Wednesday, so we're on the drive home Tuesday at 5. And then, of course, when the Oilers aren't playing, our regular time slot now will be the Wednesday 5 o'clock show on YouTube and then Edmonton Sports Talk. Of course, we're going to talk about this game tonight and talk a little bit about the road trip ahead if the Oilers can come back and what they need to do in order to do that. Probably be a lot of arguing tomorrow between Dash and I assume. We see things a little bit different, but that's where we'll be. And then as you know, check out heavyhockey.com. Darcy, you had a good article up not that long ago. Bob's been doing his goalie rankings, which I've been loving. I don't always agree with you, but
I want you to.
rankings are such a funny thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody sees it a little bit differently. I'm usually the only one that's right, but
Of course.
so that's just the way it works, right? No, it's been good. So anyway, thanks guys for all of that and the content and fun talking to you tonight. I Mike's asking because I gave him the 2-minute warning, so to speak, and so I'm gonna say goodnight for now and also hopefully be back on soon and have you guys on Oilers Live soon enough.
Thanks for joining us. Me and Bobby will talk for a few more minutes, I guess, alone, and appreciate you coming.
I love the Oilers in Vice City.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, good job on that.
Thank you, my friend.
Some stranger, good to see you, and the rest of the gang. All right, talk to you guys soon.
Okay, tune in to Oilers Live Tuesday this week. Oh man, he gave me the 5-minute, 2-minute warning, but yeah, they got to close out this road trip with a couple wins now. They've made it hard, but that's kind of what they need to do.
I think you nailed on the head there before when you were saying like they do this to themselves, and I agree with you. I don't think it's so much as the teams are beating us. It's we're making the mistakes, allowing these teams to beat us.
Yeah, finding ways to lose hockey games. Like it's
and it's mainly been off mistakes where the pucks are going in.
Yeah,
I don't see the other teams really manufacturing that much. Obviously you have to give them some credit. Their finishing chances when they have them, but geez, do we ever give them like Pickard? We're talking about Pickard's game today. He made some 10-bell saves early on, and he had that one goal that I think he wants back, the one that went through his arm. That's a tough one. He was partially screened a little bit, but if it hits you that much, you want to make that save. But he also made about 4 or 5 that he probably shouldn't have made. He battled really hard. Mm-hmm. Is that what we need our goalie to do? Like, do we need him to make 20 of these saves for us to get a chance to win? We shouldn't be relying on AHL goalie here to even just keep us in the game the way he did.
He competed hard.
He competed really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I got no problems with the game that he gave us today. I did have problems with Skinner's game in Tampa. I thought of Tampa's first 4 goals, 3 of them were stoppable pucks, and he didn't get any of them.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know. Number one, we needed Skinner to be bigger for us than what he was that game for sure. I thought he had a weak game. I'm not sure if I actually blame the goals so much on him, but just there comes a time
you need that
where you need big saves. You need big saves. We are a team right now who's so fragile that we need more big saves than the average team does, and we're not getting it. Is that fair to ask of the goalies? No, but that's the reality. We need this right now for us to get our skates underneath us, and we're not getting it consistently. Having said that, 3 of the 4 games, his 3 games before that Tampa game, he played really well. So, but yeah, so that was a big step backwards. But other teams also have a bigger book on Skinner. He's had a full season. So now it's time for him to make the adjustments as well as teams are adjusting to him. He's young. The future's still bright for him. I do think, though, like if Campbell can't get his game back in time in a rightly manner, and he's eating it in the AHL right now too, unfortunately, we can't ride Pickard as a Pickard Skinner tandem. We can't do that.
I think Campbell needs like months in the AHL though to find it. That's the problem.
His first 2 games have been absolutely atrocious. And to hear his interviews afterwards where he talks about that he feels good, that's even more alarming than actually seeing the games.
No, you're getting torn to shreds in there. You shouldn't be feeling that great about your hockey game. Back to the lab, and you need a few games to kind of come back up to, treading water, and then you need a few more games to, where you're dominating down there, which you should be. If you're gonna, tread water in the NHL, you need to dominate in the AHL, and he's a long ways from there.
He's a long ways from that. And then, like we mentioned before, I guarantee you, Holland is trying every goalie angle out there.
Yeah,
we're not going to get an A1 goalie. We're not going to get one. We're going to try and get a veteran maybe that has experience where that can hopefully get on the heater. A name I'm hearing is James Reimer. And as an option, you look at James Reimer on paper, he's like, this guy can't save our season. But we're hoping that with his calmness, his veteran, experience, if he gets on a hot streak, if you're in the AHL, you're automatically one of the top 100 goalies in the world. So any goalie can get on a hot streak, and maybe that's the guy that'll do it. But he doesn't sound like the answer when you say the name James Reimer. Nobody's eyes light up, going, "Oh yeah, that's our answer."
Here's a
question. But at this point,
we're
reaching for what we can get.
Here's a question for you. So Oilerslive Halak got
I saw that
dismissed from the Hurricanes. The acquisition cost is basically nothing. You just have to sign him to whatever he would take, I guess.
League minimum, probably.
Yeah. I mean, if he'll take that, would that be an improvement or equivalent of James Reimer without kind of the huge acquisition costs, or do you think James Reimer is a little bit of an upgrade on Halak, or would you look into that? Do you think Halak is going to be an improvement over Pickard? Where do you come out on all that?
I think you're foolish not to look at it. Right now, if I'm looking at both Reimer and Halak, I kind of give the edge a bit to Reimer, mainly because he's played more, right? Like he's played more, has more in-game experience, probably more in the rhythm of the game. I've actually always been a pretty big Halak fan ever since he was in Montreal. Even I've enjoyed Halak, but he's now 37, so you sure wouldn't want to be riding him. I don't think Reimer's probably 35-ish or something like that, so he's not a kid neither. But Halak hasn't played as much. He's been definitely a career backup the last 3 or 4 years. Reimer has had spurts as a starter on some really shitty teams, so he's faced a lot of rubber. If I'm forced to pick between the two, I'd probably pick Reimer, but you'd be foolish not to look at the possibility of getting Halak as an option.
And just because there's no real acquisition cost, right? You just pick them up.
Exactly.
I don't know how you go through all the whatever you need to do to make that happen, but I guess if Pickard's not up, then maybe the money there. I don't know. I'm not a capologist, but if Pickard's sent down, maybe you've got the money there already just to have him here. So,
well, with Campbell in the minors for a while, that frees us up. Well, I think was it 1.5 or something like that too.
I don't think so. I think it was like minimal. I thought it was like $25,000 or something silly like that. Yeah.
A little bit more than that.
Yeah, I don't think it really had that much of an impact, but I'm like I say, I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but I thought that's what I saw.
Gotta investigate that after the show. I thought there was something that'll clear us up over $1 million at least. But
yeah, where are you at with this group? Do you think they can turn it around, or are you getting that real bleak feeling?
Well, I know this when I watched them. So obviously, the first couple of goals we scored, I hoot and holler like we're like it's the first round of playoffs, right?
Right.
But then when the other team rallies back, I'm just numb because you're starting to get used to that a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I've given up. There's no way. I'm with Hebert when he says, like, how do you give up on a team that has McDavid on it? You can't. How do you ever count out a team that has the 2 best players in the world on it? You can't count them out.
Yeah.
time is running short, even though it's still early in the season. But we're coming up to the 20-game mark, which is a pretty pivotal part. We're coming up to a quarter point of the season. We don't have games we can just throw away.
Yeah,
really. Unfortunately, we put ourselves in a position where we need to find our A game now, and we need to ride that now.
Yeah, they need to go on a 5 or 6 game winning streak pretty
Yeah,
quickly
absolutely.
here.
Yeah. We at least need to go start having some 7 out of 10 series. 6 to 7 out of 10 series here.
Yeah.
ASAP, right?
Claw back to respectability. Yeah.
But no, there's no way I'm saying we're out of it.
And
the core is still there.
It's going to be a dogfight.
The
rest of the way. And honestly, then they'll have to be playing playoff hockey by Christmas the rest of the way.
And if we do that kind of goes in our favor then, because then we carry that going into the playoffs. That's why. You don't want to be that team like Boston was last year, one of the best teams in the history of the game last decade or so, and they just fizzled out the playoffs because they've been playing beer league hockey last month or so.
I watched a little bit Saturday of their game against Montreal after we found our way to lose against the Lightning. and puck luck is real, and they seem to have it in spades. Their goalies, bend but don't break. They hold the fort, and then they go the other way and score goals. And luck is definitely real. It's definitely on their side, but they're a juggernaut again.
I think as wrong as I was about the Oilers beginning of the season as my Stanley Cup favorite, that's how right I was about Boston. I did say the Bruins are going to be one of the top teams of the East. Yeah, it's going to hurt to lose Bergeron and Craig C, but there's actually less pressure on them because they lost those 2 guys.
Yeah.
And not all the eyes of the hockey world are on them, and they're playing like a team. And how do you count out Pasternak is a perennial Rocket Richard candidate?
Yeah.
They got the best goaltending tandem in the league.
Yeah.
The step up that some of their D-men took last year, that are still kind of young, is still happening. So yeah, they're for real. They've got one regular time loss so far this season.
Yeah, they just battle, and their game is all like they defend in layers. They're actually interesting to watch, and the Oilers could take a page out of the way they defend in layers. It's
and now they're even stronger with this is a shitty thing to say now, but this is stronger without Lucic in the lineup.
A little faster, yeah. I won't touch the Lucic situation.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Viewership dropped off as soon as Hebert left, but that's to be expected.
He brought in all the young girls for viewers.
When the boss checks out, so does everybody else. We'll try to get this bad boy out on Spotify tomorrow, and iTunes and all those listening platforms for your listening pleasures. Thanks everybody for watching, and nice of Angel to tune in now. And name saying I'm still here. It's funny because nothing's registering on the account here, but
easy Angel, you're on the wrong show.
Yeah. I know Cam Talbot's having a bit of a season, but other than that, I haven't really tuned into the LA Kings.
He is. Well, honestly, they need to ride a happy Dubois while they can, because after a year, Dubois kind of fades out. It looks like it. So ride him while you can.
Yeah, he says, "Sorry, boys, football and hockey going on." Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's okay. We'll accept your apology, and when we play the Kings, I'll have to do a GTA San Andreas kind of theme background. I went with Vice City today. Somebody called me out on it because we were in Sunrise, Florida, not Miami. But if you kind of look on a map, it's half an hour away, so it works. Fuck off. Thanks everybody for watching, and keep your sticks on the ice, keep reaching for the stars, and hopefully the Edmonton Oilers can walk out of Carolina and Washington with wins and come home 500 on this road trip. Otherwise, next Monday's not going to be that much fun for us. We'll see you then. Probably 8 o'clock next Monday. Thanks again.